Xena. My queen. Xena, take this to Xena. I will, my queen.
Are we really going to do this?
Yes, we're really going to do this.
I feel that I owe it to Cleopatra.
Antony and Cleopatra's got very special significance for me because it was the last ever episode I ever shot of Xena. It was, for me personally, episode number 77. But I also didn't get to shoot the entire episode because for some reason the episode got split. It got pushed back and was shot in 2 different blocks. And I already had another booking to go to. I'd planned to leave Xena. I'd given them 3 or 4 months' notice that I was going off to shoot a feature film after having spent 5 years of my career on the one show. I thought it was kind of time to move on and get into something more modern and be able to use car headlights and neon lights and things like that. So it was a shame to not shoot the whole episode, but it was also a really good opportunity to bring in a new DP, Simon Riera, and I got to prep the whole episode with him. And I shot everything up until the fight scene, and then he shot the whole fight scene on the boat at the end. So we kind of collaborated on working out the lighting plot and the lighting styles for that.
Antony, we're about to go into a major sea battle.
With Egypt's navy, we cannot lose.
Once we engage Antony, you'll give Xena the signal?
Yes.
Then we'll see who will become Rome.
You've become an ambitious man, Brutus.
Antony and Cleopatra was developed when Lucy was pregnant, and we were all living in denial about how much Lucy could play while she was pregnant. And so we put it on the shelf when it became apparent that particular episode was not copacetic with her pregnant state. And we revived it for the 5th season. I had actually been working on another show, and I came back to Xena, and that was the first one I worked on. And we got into shape. Carl Ellsworth, who had written the original, was on staff at the time, so he and I together kind of whipped it into shape into a kind of a new thing. And I think it turned out pretty well. I think that was a nice episode.
Antony and Cleopatra had some fabulous sets. They were some of the biggest sets I think I'd worked with for a long time on the Xena show. So we had lots of scope to do big wide shots. I think one of the widest shots in the palace had CGI enhancement because we shot off where the set finished and shot the roof, and then they added it later on. It was also interesting because it was a very high-key set. We wanted the feeling of hot Egypt, blasting sunlight. And so the walls were all kind of just off-white. So rather than being a moody, low-key episode, it was very kind of bright and high-key and uppy, and that was nice to do for a change. I had a lot of fun putting real hard lights in the background, overexposing by 2, 3, 4 stops, so people would walk through lights and just almost vaporize with the heat, and whereas the foreground was still on the normal exposure. And that gave it a different feel to what we normally did.
The great thing of working with Rob is he is just like just this treasure trove of unique images and ideas and directions for the series to go. And so as a writer, I'm constantly being presented with this great platform to go off and write on. And it's great. I mean, that's what Rob has a lot of strengths as a producer, but certainly that is one of the big ones, is his ability to conjure up the most interesting and original visuals, of thinking of excellent directions for the series to go in that'll it'll keep it rich and full of conflict and passion. And then his understanding of the character of Xena. I mean, I think that was that's something certainly that Rob and I shared, is this our passionate love of that character and our understanding of that character.
Yeah, in the arson scene where the Molotov cocktail gets thrown through the window in Xena's bedroom, and she wakes up and grabs the intruder and they wrestle, that was actually pretty scary to shoot. All the safety measures were in place, but Lucy was right in amongst it. We had fake flame gas bars, you know, rigged and hidden behind things, but I think there's a piece where Lucy's got protecting herself with a table that she picks up, and the flames were pretty close. It was one of the more scary flame scenes I've been involved in, that's for sure. And it works because it's pretty realistic. You're kind of sitting on the edge of your seat watching it.
My involvement with Antony and Cleopatra, the episode, well, I only had the opening scene where I play Cleopatra, and then, of course, I die. I was actually quite nervous about doing that particular episode and playing that character because I had to sort of stroll languidly into this huge bath of warm milk. Well, in actual fact, it took us so long to shoot that it turned very quickly from a warm bath to lukewarm, tepid, then quite cold, to, by the end, I actually had a hot water bottle under the water in between my legs and sort of on my stomach area just to keep me warm. And also I was a little bit nervous because I had to walk in this sort of very sheer gown, and then as I step down into this huge bath, I actually have to sort of pull it off and let it drop down, and I'm actually completely naked underneath. And Michael Hurst, who was directing that particular episode, he was shooting from behind, and they had to shoot it several different ways. And I believe that there was a very quick sort of glimpse of my backside panning down as the robe fell down. But in the end, it was all fine. The way they edited it and what they chose, it was all quite discreet.
Yeah, Michael Hurst did a terrific job directing it, and one of those things where he probably, I don't recall exactly, but he probably got the script pretty late in the running. And because when I came back off the other show, there was everything was hurry up and get it done. So he did a terrific job with it.
It was great working with Michael as a director. He'd actually directed me years before in a Shakespeare called Othello, and I played Desdemona, so I'd already had that relationship with him as a director, and then I'd also done many Herc episodes, obviously, with him as LAWLESS.
It was great to work with Michael Hurst again. I'd done a couple of episodes with him in the past and worked with him a lot when he was an actor in different things. So I really, really liked Michael's energy and enthusiasm, and nothing was ever a problem, and he always just spurred you on to do your best work at all times. It was great.
The ferocity with which Gabrielle dispatches Brutus really came from her sense of disappointment from Brutus. She hoped that Brutus was a kindred spirit, and what ultimately she learns in that episode is, no, he's a vicious political player and not one deserving of her mercy.
Yes, the 3-day shooting of the fight on the battle on the ship at night, in pre-production we fought hard to make it as realistic as possible by actually finding real water and bringing the Xena boat into an inlet. Obviously had to work with tides, which made things difficult, but I think they brought the boat into a position where it would dry out when the tide went out, and then when it was full tide we could shoot with the water. Also went to the expense of bringing in a barge with a crane on it with a huge light. I think a 18K light went out on that, and a generator. So there was a lot of effort went into make sure that we could not just look like it was all cheated in the studio or out in a field somewhere, so that we'd actually see the water. And in the end, I didn't end up shooting that part of it because Simon Riera took over, and he was the DP that came on to do the rest of Xena. And I think I went out to visit them one night to watch the shooting, and it was all very, very exciting. But I'll always remember at the end of the episode, a couple of weeks later, when she'd seen the rough cut, Chloe Smith, the New Zealand producer, sort of shook her head and she said, that could have all been done in the studio or in a field at night because there's only 2 shots where you actually really link the water on the boat. So I'm sure they probably shot lots more shots, but just the way that it ended up in the cut was none of them actually made it. So that's a little bit of a shame.
Ultimately, when Xena kills Antony, it's clear from the look on her face that she is very conflicted. And this is not the way she wanted this to play out. But she also knows it's something she has to do for the greater good. So there was a definite affection she had for Antony, but not a lot of sentimentality, because she saw a much more important goal that she had to accomplish.
Rom owes me nothing. Octavius, you'll soon be the new leader. It is you who must recognize and support this new alliance forged between Egypt and Rome. It cost Cleopatra her life. Make sure it was worth it.